I think, and then I said, well, I'm going to check your anyway, I'm waiting. Well, you would maybe negotiate with me for August.
No, it doesn't.
Well, she's gone. Well, I've got a guy who's
We've never had those. Is this what they think?
That's too much.
What's that?
Some of the most famous fashion designers in the U.S. today have been asked to forecast what Eve will look like in AD 2000. One idea is a dress that can be adapted for morning, afternoon, or evening. It's the sleeves, what does it? Apparently in AD 2000 we will be having a hair-raising time. Yet another designer goes so far as to believe that skirts will disappear entirely. Shoes will have cantilever heels, and an electric belt will adapt the body to climatic changes. The lightly clad woman of tomorrow, ooh, swish, will move in an atmosphere that's scientifically kept at the right temperature. The future bride in a wedding dress of glass. What the groom will wear, apart from a worried look, isn't mentioned. A dress of aluminium, with a sash to change it for afternoon or evening, and an electric headlight to help her to find an honest man. As for him, when he marries the bull, he'll be fitted with a telephone, a radio, and containers for coins, keys, and candy for cutie.
No one can clearly foresee the city of the future, but the appearance of any city, of any period of history, is a direct outcome of the social, economic, and technical conditions then existing. The cities of the future would be laid out to a master plan. Streets and buildings no longer haphazard, but harmoniously related. Structural ingenuity would, of course, go on producing unusual forms, perhaps suspension bridge apartment houses. These would surely provide wide vistas for the bridge dwellers, and perhaps gratify the very human desire for novelty and romance. There must be broad avenues, providing trees and ease of movement, with light and pure air for all buildings. Perhaps the master stroke of planning would be to segregate on one hand future highly efficient automatic industrial centers, producing all our needed goods and distributing them in abundance. New centers of leisure would arise, around which we would live, fully participating in the sports, the arts and the sciences, in fact in all the activities which make life worth living. Here's a peep through a future window of the world. This monster plane will carry 600 passengers, and the huge wing and double fuselage houses luxurious lounges and reading rooms. It will speed from London to New York in a day. Future aerodromes will be centers for highways, tile and rail carriers. Landing on top of the huge aerodrome, planes will taxi to a ramp, descend to a lower level and discharge their passengers. At still lower levels, motor highways, railroads and pneumatic mail tubes will have terminals. Here's a ship which has the streamlined form which ocean liners in the future may take. Streamlining is the shape of an object so that it will cause the minimum turbulence of the air passing round. The porpoise, one of the fastest things of swim, is a splendid example of nature's streamline. The body, the fins and tail are all curved and have their blunt ends tapering towards the rear. In designing this ship, the streamline principle has been applied to the entire superstructure. This rounded, unbroken surface from stem to stern not only reduces wind resistance, but also lessens the water that comes over the bow and stern in heavy weather. The part of a conventional liner above the waterline is about as large as a solid block of 7-story building, 900 feet long and 100 feet wide. Tremendous power is required to move this immense mass over 25 miles an hour. Projections like the bridge, deck and lifeboat disturb the flow of air as the ship passes through it, setting up turbulences which reduce the ship's efficiency. This model of an ocean-going yacht is based on streamline principles. The deck coverings can be rolled back in fair weather. The future will no doubt receive streamlined ships which will be faster, more comfortable and safer than anything we know today.
Wow.
There it is, people. 2000.
That was such a great future.
That
That didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it did.
You're not wearing your utility belt,
Yeah,
ID, with candies for kids and stuff.
Yeah. I'm not even here. This is hologram. Okay, good morning, everyone. It's working?
Yep, you're good.
No?
Let me check.
No. Maybe number 3.
Move it up.
I can hear you.
Yeah, you're
Yes,
good.
yeah, okay, good. So, welcome home, welcome Cafe Church. If this is your first time here, we have 2 exits on the right and left side, washrooms are in the middle, and if you want to help yourself with tea, hot chocolate, you can go help yourself free from our coffee bar. And my next announcement is gonna be Gerald McCaffrey is here. Hey Gerald! So he's been here for a few days to surprise his family. Poor Nat. I think the whole Kingston knew it except you. That he's gonna be here on Wednesday, but it worked very well. No spoilers.
No spoiler
We kept
alert,
watching.
nothing.
Okay.
I just opened my shed and there he was.
So it's so great to have Gerald with us again, even though it's been a short time, but we have been enjoying being with him. So first element is soup on Sundays. So I saw Laura bringing some soup today. So what do we have?
Broccoli, cream of broccoli.
There you go. And the second one I can get.
We have spicy turkey chili,
Awesome. So
and
two kinds.
there's Taylor. Taylor brought vegetarian.
Isn't that awesome? So 3 kinds, right? There you go. So after the service, you can stay around and help yourself with the soup for lunch today. Monday night prayer, we are going to have them bi-weekly, so I think the next one is going to be tomorrow at 7 here. Mike and Rachel usually take care of it, so if you're going to come, have a very spiritual place, you can pray together and enjoy your time with God. And the Connect group bi-weekly on Tuesdays, it starts by 5:30. Next one is going to be April 26th. We have potluck dinner, 30 minutes of study time, and then we clean and fix up cafe. And fasting, that we encourage people in cafe to fast on Wednesday, so it's doing the group worship together. Every day of the week is good, but Wednesday we're encouraging people in cafe to fast together and share the spiritual values together. And our Sunday night service is going to be May 1st. I guess it's 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks
right?
now,
2 weeks
yeah.
from now. At 5:30, it goes on to 8, and we have a worship. And as you know, last weekend, we have been recording our services, and then I posted on YouTube, our YouTube channel called Cafe Church. So if you miss any of the Sunday services, you can just go to YouTube, go to the Cafe Church channel, and watch it again. And we are looking for members for some positions that there are some openings, right, in cafe. So yes, one of them is church secretary. I think this guy is retiring, right?
I'll be the guy holding the wrong
Yeah, but Ban Ki-moon is retiring, so if anyone is interested in in our cafe, can apply. And you should be members for these positions, I should say. And the church treasurer and bookkeeper. And Steve for
Yep.
for more information on that. our youth builders, April 19, they're going to be here for a week. And I think we had some volunteer sheet. I think.
Yeah, I'll
we
talk
need to
more.
okay.
I'll
So
talk on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll let you know about it. So it's going to be here for a week.
So like,
I have the schedule.
I grab that.
You can get that.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Eddie. Let's hear it, Eddie. A man of the future.
Don't touch me. I'm from.
Okay.
Don't touch me.
Okay, so it's great to have Gerald back. I have to say though, Annette, I have some disturbing news.
Just don't touch me. I'm confused.
Annette, I have some disturbing news.
You have disturbing news.
Yeah, I figured out how you're gonna die. You're gonna die of a heart attack one day when Gerald pulls another stunt like he did last Wednesday and shows up unannounced and says, "Can you go out to the garden shed and get a tool for me?" And you're thinking it's in Alberta, and you go to the garden shed and he's there.
You know,
You're gonna die of a heart attack.
There's surprises, there's drama, there's all sorts of
Yeah.
things that happen in our
Yeah,
marriage.
but when you're 70, that's not gonna work. When you live, gone.
I just
That's
said
just
to
on Sunday
him,
sign up, if people could just circulate it around, that would be great. But just pass that around.
Steve, I said to him, it's a good thing I have a good heart.
Yeah, I'll
Like
say.
that.
Okay, he did the same thing to Chris Cummings. Showed up. Then I go into a friend's house. And Chris said, "Oh, that's nice." Next thing, Chris hears a knock at the door. And it's Gerald, who's supposed to be in Alberta, right? Okay, so I want to give you a bit of an update on Youth Builders. There's a lot of stuff happening next week. It's going to be one of our busiest weeks of the year. So Youth Builders, this is a team of folks who work with youth, but also with churches in general. And they're from our denomination. There's 6 of them. They're young adults. They're not youth themselves. They're not under 18. They're all young adults. And they're coming here to help us do a bunch of things and kind of get a sense for what Cafe is about. So here's what's going to happen. They're going to travel up here. They're going to arrive sometime around 5:30 here at Cafe on Tuesday night. We're going to have a potluck with them. We're going to give them a chance to explain what they're about and who they are, introduce themselves so we get to know them a bit better. Then we'll link them up with their billets. We'll probably have a games night, give them a chance to meet some of our kids here at the church. They're going to meet with Candace Laframboise, our youth leader, and Dana on Wednesday morning. Wednesday night, they're doing an activity with Bethel Youth. They're going to probably come to Toastmasters on Thursday morning. They're going to work with our youth group that meets here on Thursday nights, the PIT team it's called. On Friday, we have them scheduled basically for free time. And then on Saturday, they're going to come to the Saturday evening service that Joel Williams and his team put on. They'll join us for a Sunday evening service. They will not be departing on Sunday, though. They'll be actually staying through till Monday because they're going to another church not far away, and it just saves them traveling all the way back to Guelph and so on. So that's the schedule for the week. Now, in there, wherever there's spots, they're happy to meet with your kids, like hang out, take them out to lunch maybe, or just do some one-on-one mentoring, that kind of thing. So on the Tuesday night session, we'll sort all that out. So that's what's going on with Youth Builders. Does anyone got any questions on Youth Builders? Yes, Laura.
What nights would we have to feed them then? Like the Friday or every night?
Probably, well, not the Tuesday, obviously.
Obviously no.
Probably the other night.
Other night.
Yeah. Okay. But it's like they may go out and do stuff, so that's what we're going to sort out on Tuesday night.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Are you still with your billets?
No, I've got it all covered off now. We're good. Thank you very much. Yes, we got it all covered. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, good. Right. We're in part 3 of a 4-part series. Yes.
See you after church?
Oh yeah, recycling station. We have one now. So just to the right of Ted. Hey, Ted, how you doing? Good to see you, buddy. There's a recycling station. There are 4 holes: black, green, blue, and gray. Green is for organic waste, like tea bags or vegetable matter, not bones or fat or any of that kind of stuff. Then there's a blue box, which is your glass and plastic and stuff. There's a gray box, which is plastic bags, paper, and cardboard, and the black is anything that doesn't fit in the other 3. So we're trying to be environmentally responsible. We always have been. All the grains from this church end up in our garden usually. So if you could cooperate in terms of, and it's all marked there, what goes in what, just take a look. That would be really helpful. Okay? Good. Okay. Part 3 of a 4-part series on where we live, with thanks to Vivek for inspiring the series. Yay, many of you know the story. He got me onto this. It's all his fault. If you don't like it today, blame Vivek. That's basically what I'm saying. If you really like it, send me a nice note. If you hate it, go talk to Vivek. We have an excellent division of responsibility here. Now, Gerald was supposed to speak today, but he's had a stomach problem, so just be praying for him that whatever this thing is will get healed up. So we just need to be praying for him. Take it easy, buddy. Right.
They call it a Steve ulcer.
Steve ulcer. Steve precipitated ulcer. Good, it worked. Okay. So in this 4-part series, we're looking at how people view where they live. And this is where the inspiration from Vivek came. He was given the table topics and Toastmasters, about where you live. And he talked about people living in the past, present, and future, which I thought was a kind of a cool application of the question. So we call bending the question in Toastmasters. We kind of twisted how we wanted to answer it. So what we want to do is give you a better understanding of how you should look at the past, present, and future from the perspective of the Christian faith. That's really what it's about. And I'm hopeful that today's talk and the other ones we've had will be directly, practically beneficial to you in your lives in the upcoming days and weeks. So that's, at the end of the day, I'd like it to have an effect for you. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of a review of last week, for those who weren't here. And those who were, where's Bill Revell?
Right there.
Right there. Okay, Bill wasn't here last week, but he'll probably know all the answers anyway.
Yeah.
If you're stuck, he's your 911 phone a friend guy. We're going to then look at the pluses and minuses of living in the future. And then we're going to look at a Christian perspective of the future, and then I got a challenge time for you at the end. So what did we talk about last week? We're going to start with our review. Anybody remember? Who was here last week? Peter, what did we talk about last week?
How we're doing now with situations.
Yes, okay, how we're dealing with our present situation. Yep, very good. Okay, yep. So how we can be better people in our current circumstances. Good. What else? What was the Bible story we looked at? Anybody remember? Very famous Bible story. It involved gardening.
Going to Israel.
Sorry, going to?
Going to Israel.
Yes, we talked about the Exodus. Now, there's an event that preceded the Exodus, so what was it? That got it all started in that?
Fiery bush.
Yes, the burning bush. Every landscaper's nightmare, right? Moses, as an experience... Yeah, it didn't spread. That was good. It's a pretty dry area, right? So, Moses is spoken to by God through this burning bush. And basically, what God says to Moses is, I am who I am. That's his name, I am. That's it, it's that simple, I am. And this title is reflective of God's presence in the life of his people. That he's a present reality for them. Now, God just gives himself other names as well to describe himself, but I am is the one that he reveals in this particular passage. And of course, this event was what led up to the Exodus. This is Moses' calling. He's being given his orders, as we'd say in the military. He's getting his orders, his mission that he's to accomplish. And this is done through this burning bush experience. What are some pluses of living in the present, and what are some minuses of living in the present? Anybody?
You get to come to Cafe Church.
In the present, you get to come to Cafe Church. Very good, man. Okay, what else? You get to hang out with people, right? If you're living in the present. Yeah, Mike.
You don't really set long-term goals.
Yeah, one of the minuses maybe is if you're too focused on the present, like your head is in the present all the time, you're maybe not thinking of the next step, right? You're not thinking out what might come up. Okay, what else?
The term is YOLO.
The what?
The term is YOLO.
Yes, the term is YOLO. You only live once, right? So you can be kind of irresponsible maybe in how you live and do some really dumb stuff that will get you into trouble because you're trying to YOLO, right? But maybe not always the best philosophy. There's a term you'll hear, it's called carpe diem, which is kind of like that. It means seize the day. So live every day as you can, because you don't know if there's going to be one tomorrow, right? Steve-O, you keep going down, buddy? Thanks. So the term carpe diem kind of captures a bit of the YOLO thing, which is seize the day, take advantage of the moments as you have it. All right, so that was the past. We also looked at the idea that God was somebody who defined himself by the past. What was the specific? Sorry, by the present. What was the specific event that we looked at? I think you might have mentioned it actually, Vivek, right? The Exodus. Yeah. So the Exodus, central event in the Bible, very key moment in the sort of development of the Jewish faith and subsequently the Christian faith, is this Exodus. So you have a bunch of Israelites living in Egypt. They fled there generations ago because of the famine in their home country. Initially, they were in a position of favor, but as time went on and 4 centuries passed, they ended up becoming indentured slaves, basically. They were slaves. And the Exodus is the mission that Moses was given to get them out of Egypt and into Israel with their own sort of nation and their own people. So that Exodus piece, we looked at it in the past, we looked at it in the present, we're going to look at it again in the future today. It's a great way of looking at sort of God's perspective on that. So now we're going to move into the future. What are some things people often look forward to in the future? Not the future, but in the future.
Vacation.
Vacation, good. Yeah, Juanita.
When I was a teenager, I looked forward to being married to a tall, handsome man.
So that didn't work out at all. Yeah, life's full of disappointment, folks. Yeah, Juanita looks forward to marrying a tall, handsome man. Yes, Ruby. Retirement, yeah, absolutely. It seems like you hit 20 and you go, okay, when's Freedom 55, right? When's that going to happen? What else? What are some other things? Annette?
Well, summer, like, kids
Yes.
can't wait until school's
Yes,
done.
so special events.
I have another one.
Yep.
It would be nice to actually live with my husband for a period of time.
I know him. I don't think so. No. Yeah. Okay. Yes, that would be good. Yes. Yeah. You're looking forward to being reunited with Gerald in Brooks, Alberta, when all the dust is settled on your roof and stuff. Gerald? Same thing. Okay, that's good. You both feel that way. I'd be worried if you both did not feel that way. Okay.
I'm looking forward to dealing with my son.
Yes. Okay. Good. So that's one of the ones I had. Resolution or recovery from health issues, right? Especially if you're going through like cancer. A few years ago I had a stroke, which was due to head injury. Then I had post-streptococcal reactive arthritis, which is like a very rare, bizarre disease. I was sure glad to get through that. Yeah, so oftentimes when we're afflicted by medical issues, we are looking forward to that. What else do people look forward to? Yes, Bill. Yeah, absolutely. From the perspective of the Christian faith, Jesus' return is absolutely a fundamental piece of our future. Absolutely. We're going to talk a little more about that later today. What else? Yes, Alexa.
Getting the job they want?
Getting the right job. Sure, career aspirations, right? Whether it's a promotion or just getting a job in the first place that's something you want to do, which is becoming increasingly difficult in Canada right now because the economy is not in great shape, right? Especially in Alberta. That's amazing. Gerald got a job in Alberta during the recession. That's bizarre. He did that. Okay, so there's another one which I personally celebrated on Friday. My tax refund. Woo! Yeah, okay. I remind myself, though, it's actually tax I paid. So, I mean, it's not like, hey, it's just my money I'm getting back, right? So there's a whole bunch of things that people tend to look forward to in the future. So let me ask you another question then. Noting all those things people look forward to, what are some pluses and minuses of living in the future? Bill? Hope. Yeah, you've got hope, absolutely. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, hope is a key one. Yes, what else? Yes?
Or fear.
Fear. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Libby.
Libby, fear. Yeah, good. Fantastic. Yeah, fear. Anything specific? You want to go, what are some of the things people...
I had a daughter in a car accident.
Yes?
I wondered if she would live.
Okay, absolutely.
Died.
Absolutely.
I'm here.
Okay, you know each other, right? That's cool. Okay, good. That's cool. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah, fear, absolutely. What else? What are some other pluses and minuses? Yes, Vicki. Yes, if you're too focused on the future, you lose perspective on the present. Absolutely. Yeah, Carol? Yeah, you cannot, if you get too focused on the future, you may not pick up some of the lessons from the past that will help you. Yes, Mike?
It can also be like an incredible procrastinator.
Yeah.
It can always be in the future that you're going to get things done.
Yes.
But just not actually start projects or...
Yeah, not get stuff started, yeah.
Get stuff.
It's that, there's that sort of philosophical argument, technically there's no such thing as the future. because you never get to it, right? It's the present. Yes, Juliana. Yeah, anxiety, so uncertainty, like I don't know what's going to happen here, or this is not looking good, and then we get upset about it, right? Absolutely, that's very common indeed. Yeah, anxiety would be a symptom of sort of that uncertainty. Yeah, what else?
Over here.
Yes, oh yeah, Peter. Okay. Yeah, so there's an example I was trying to think of. Oh, this is Zika virus, right? So it's spreading the Zika virus. Yeah, it's spreading all over. Started in Central and South America. Now it's spreading all over the world. And there's a concern that it causes birth defects. So we were actually at a dinner party at our house last night with some neighbors. And one of our neighbors has an immune issue, which she picked up in Malaysia. And she wants to go to the Dominican Republic. Where does she want to go? Yeah, but I think they plan to go to the Dominican Republic or something. But she's very restricted in where she can go now because if she gets this thing, her immune system is totally shot, right? So there could be the fear that eventually that stuff's going to work its way further and further north, and that a lot of people can get especially if you have any kind of immune irregularity or deficiency, that that could there's that uncertainty and that fear about that. Okay, so there's lots of things, and again, the future is like the past and the present. It's not bad or good. It just is. What's important is how you look at it. That's what's really important in this whole discussion. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at God as the God of the future. Who's this guy? Okay, this is an untouched photo from 1946 BC. I know. Yeah. He looks like Santa Claus, eh? Yeah, he's got the beard. And he's not round chubby enough to be Santa, but this guy is Abram, or as he became to be known later, Abraham. That's an interesting story in and of itself. So why do you think the artist showcases Abram or Abraham with a backdrop of this starry sky? Anybody know why? Promise who? Promise who? Abraham. Yeah, you said Moses. Sorry. Yeah, that's okay. We're good. Yeah, so God made a covenant with Abram or Abraham. He said, I will give you descendants as numerous as the stars. Now, if you want to be really scientific, you'd say, oh yeah, but now we know there's like billions and billions and billions of stars, and that's not going to happen. But if you counted, obviously his frame of reference is what he could see in the sky that night, obviously, right? So maybe it's hundreds of thousands of millions, I don't know. I never tried to count them. Has anyone ever tried to count all the stars at night? No? Okay, good. You guys have a social life. That's good. Okay, good. Yeah, telescope, and yeah, it accelerated. The point was, it wasn't to be taken literally. What he was saying basically was, don't worry, your genetic line is not going to be wiped out. In fact, you're going to have this, thousands, hundreds of thousands of descendants over time. In fact, now it's in the millions, right? And that story is contained in Genesis 15 and 17, verses 1 to 14. Now, there's another story in chapter 16 that's not related to what I want to talk about today. That's why I left that out. So Genesis 15, 17, and 17, 1 to 14, talks about the story. And what we see in this story is related to the Exodus thing we talked about earlier. And that is that God is a God of the future. What he's saying to this guy is, you're not going to see this in your life. You'll have descendants. You're not going to see where I'm going to take this line of descent of yours, but stuff's going to happen. He's a God of the future. He's promising this. And in fact, this is part of what's called the Abrahamic covenant. There's a whole series of covenants or promises God makes to people in the Bible. The Abrahamic covenant is one of those covenants. And it's one in which, interestingly, there's no response required by man. So a lot of the covenants say, if you do this, then I'll do that. It's a conditional covenant. This one is not. God just says, I'm going to do this. So part of it is the descendants as numerous as stars. Another piece of it is he's going to give them a new land. What is that land? Israel, right? Israel. And then there's another piece to it. Anyone know what the other piece is? He's going to bless them. So he's going to reward and bless them. Those are the three main elements of what we call the Abrahamic covenant. Now, the interesting thing about this is, for the last 2 weeks, we're kind of looking at the Exodus in reverse order. In week 1, we looked at God as God of the past, and we reflected back in the Bible to, we looked at stories of people who were reflecting back to the Exodus. So God kept describing himself, and other people described God as somebody who affected the Exodus. Last week we looked at the present. So Moses is calling to start the Exodus. This week we're going to look at what happened even before the Exodus happened. So we're kind of doing a reverse timeline in that regard. So 2 weeks ago we looked at a God of the past defining himself by the Exodus. I'm the Lord God who led you out of Egypt. That's how God would describe himself to people. Last week we looked at God of the present telling Moses, leader of the Exodus, that his name is I Am. I am that I am. Popeye, I am what I am, right? Yes. I wonder if you got that from that passage, maybe. I am what I am. I don't know. This week we're looking at a God of the future to see that in fact he predicted the Exodus to Abram, including its duration, 400 years, long before the event actually happened. Almost 500 years before it happened. Yes, it's true. We don't have a back door. I guess that's the only choice. So, the key passage here is this. Sorry, that should read Genesis 15. That's my bad. So the Lord said to Abram, you can be sure that your descendants will be strangers in a foreign land where they'll be oppressed as slaves for 400 years. But I will punish the nation that enslaves them, and in the end they will come away with great wealth. So this is 500 years before the Exodus happened. So there's 4 generations descended from Abraham to Moses. From Abraham to Joseph, when Joseph goes into Egypt. And then Joseph's descendants are in Egypt for 400 years. So let's call it 450, almost 500 years. Ahead of time, he's predicting this is going to happen. And as we read last week, that's what happened. They went in initially to get relief from famine. They were in a position of favor under Joseph. But over time, things got worse. Leaders changed. They became a manning pool for the Egyptians and their great building projects. And 400 years later, they are absolutely, at the bottom of the pit, slaves. And then the Exodus starts. So in this passage, God is forecasting 500 years in advance the Exodus and the significant events surrounding it, which is an indication of God's focus on the future. So George Washington is considered to be a great president of the U.S., right? His face is on everything. He's on dollar bills and coins. There's cities named after him. People name their kids after him. There's all these legends that have come out about George Washington. There's no question that during his life, George Washington was a profoundly influential person, right? But he was an historical figure, and he died, right? George Washington is not in the presidential runoff race this year, all right? He's not. He died. His impact, if you will, his ability to impact the future stopped when he died. That's not how God works. God doesn't die. God's ability to impact the future carries on. And even though Abraham may die and pass away, which he eventually will, that doesn't mean that God's vision isn't going to carry on. This is an important part of what we need to understand about God. He is a God of the future. He defines himself by things that happen in the future. This is but one example. Can anyone think of some other examples where God gave, say, a prophecy or spoke about a future event? Don't be shy.
Genesis 3.
Go ahead. Yep, Mike.
It talks about punishment for sin, and the man's punished with having to garden, the woman's punished with pain and childbirth. And he talks about the punishment for the evil serpent who said, there's going to be a woman and she's going to, her child is going to crush you, and that's a foreshadowing or a prediction of the future of Jesus coming and defeating Satan.
Yep. So this battle between God and Satan? Yeah, absolutely. Right off the bat. Anybody else? Zoe? No, you got nothing. You got nothing today, eh? She's having a great time, though. Okay. Anybody else? Something that speaks to where God was talking about a future thing. Don't be shy.
It's all good things.
Yeah, absolutely, right? The Old Testament is full of prophecies about Jesus' birth, And not only his birth, but the circumstances of his death as well. Right, that he would die in a tree or a piece of wood, which the cross was. So where he'd be born, which family line he would be born under, there's hundreds of prophecies in the Old Testament, which either we can be pretty certain are predictions of Christ, or perhaps we can't be 100% sure, but they look like they are. But certainly all through the Old Testament, there is this idea of the Messiah, that somebody's coming to save the Israelites, a new king, a different kind of king. So yeah, absolutely. All the way through the Old Testament we see this. So that's good. So lots of examples of where God is defining himself by the future, and making known to us who he is through what he's going to do in the future. That's important for us to understand. So Abram had his name changed from Abram to Abraham when he was given this new covenant. So Abram means exalted father. My kids tell me that all the time. No, not really. To Abraham, which means father of many, or father of nations. So, as a symbol of this covenant, God actually gives Abram a new name. That also has many other biblical parallels as well. So that's kind of a significant event in the history of Israel, this renaming of Abram. So we learn from the events that precede the Exodus, God describing what will happen, that God is in fact the God of the future. He promises Abraham a nation, numerous descendants, and God's blessing to the Israelites. Those are kind of the three elements of the Abrahamic covenant. So let's fast forward to the New Testament. A few weeks ago, we looked at a very special dinner. Anyone remember what that dinner was? Yeah, the Last Supper, and that was situated during what feast? Passover, right? What was the Passover? Why did they celebrate Passover? Why do Jews still today celebrate Passover? Yes. Yes, so that was exactly right, Peter. The Passover, you took a lamb, the blood of a lamb, put it over the door frame of your house, and if you did that, then the angel of death would pass over your house and not kill your firstborn son. The Egyptians obviously didn't follow God, so they didn't do that, so they lost all their sons. That was the straw that broke this camel's back, that caused them to send the Israelites away, not just to kick them out, but to actually heap gold and silver on them as they're leaving the city, like, please leave, don't come back. Right? Tons of blame and shame thrown at them. Again, fulfillment of this prophecy, right? Of great wealth. So that the Passover meal was a meal that the Israelites traditionally celebrated following the Exodus to celebrate God's deliverance from slavery. It had four elements to it. It had the bread, the wine, the lamb, and the bitter herbs and salt. When Jesus took the Passover, he changed it into what we call communion, or the Lord's table. And it has two elements left in it, which are what? Bread and the wine. Why are the bitter herbs and salt gone? Yeah, they didn't taste. Well, the salt's good. The bitter herbs and salt were to remind them of the bitterness of slavery. That's what the symbology of that was. And in Christ, he's saying you're no longer slaves of sin because I freed you. The other one was the lamb. Why don't you need lamb in the meal anymore? What? Somebody said it? Jesus is the lamb, right? So those two elements are gone from the meal. All that's left is the bread and the wine. Bread, Christ's body broken for you. The wine, Christ's blood shed for you. So the Passover meal has profound linkages back to the Exodus. In Matthew 26:29, though, we find out that this isn't just an historical reflection on some important event. There's actually a future focus to it. I'll let you take a read through this, and then we'll talk about it for a minute. What does this passage mean? What's he saying here? What's Jesus saying to his disciples?
It's predicting the future.
Okay, so it's definitely a future focus, right? Now what's he saying will happen in the future?
Because he goes away to prepare a place for us in the kingdom of his Father.
Right, so he's planning a reunion. Right? Anyone been to a family reunion before? Hands up if you've been to a family reunion. Okay, keep your hands up if you love family reunions. Put your hands down. Hands up if you hate family reunions. Okay, so it's a couple. It depends on your family, I suppose, right? It depends on right? You can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your family, right? That's basically the motto, right?
You can't pick your friend's nose.
Yeah, you can't pick your friend's nose unless it's the left hand. Okay. So yeah, so basically what this passage tells us is that Christ is planning a family reunion for all of his followers, and that's when he'll drink that cup. So the way I see it is that Christ is fully spiritual now. He came as a man, but he's fully spiritual now. And we're told in Scripture that when we go to be with Christ, we lose our physical sort of, body, and we become spiritual beings. And it's when we're reunified that we can drink this wine together with him. That's kind of, I think, some of the symbology behind this. But he's definitely saying there'll be a reunion with us, his followers, in his Father's kingdom. What is his Father's kingdom? It's heaven, right? It's heaven, absolutely. Yeah, you're right, Vicki. It's heaven. So here we have in this passage from Matthew, Jesus talking about, 2 weeks ago we looked at do this in remembrance of me. So the past component to it. And at the same time, while they're having this dinner, he says to them, by the way, the reason we're instituting communion is, so you can remember me. And he says, I won't be able to join you at communion for the next whatever amount of time it is, but we will drink again together at this reunion he's planned in heaven. So there's a very, very clear future focus to the whole context of this bizarre dinner, this Passover feast, that Jesus has morphed into what we now call communion of the Lord's table. All right? But again, that feast goes right back to Exodus, the story we've been looking at for the last little while. Anybody got any questions on this part of it, or any thoughts or comments they want to share? Don't be shy. Oh, the movers are here. Okay, so I got a challenge for you then. I challenge you to read Genesis 15. Sorry, not 12 as I have on the slide. Genesis 15, the whole chapter. And Genesis 17, verses 1 to 14, because they speak directly to what we've been talking about today, which is God being a God of the future. I encourage you to incorporate that into your personal devotion time, or if you just get a few minutes where you want to do a reading, that would be a great passage to do it on. And you'll see it come through in spades, this idea of God being a God of the future. He defined it in terms of the genetical line. He defined it in terms of Israel being a nation. And he defined it in terms of the fact that he would be with his people through that whole time and bless them. It's a fantastic sort of prophetic sort of piece that's very important. Reflection. So I encourage you to ask yourself this question, because we talked about a lot of the things that people think about in the future, right? Finances, family, jobs, and all that sort of thing. Is your focus of the future Christ-centered or world-centered? Because if it's world-centered, I can almost guarantee you that you're going to be disappointed. The things that you had hoped in may not happen. The things you're worried about may never happen, but you're going to go through kind of that anxiety and fear of them. And you have no control over them, most of them. Like Gerald's health issue and my health issue, we didn't really get a say in that. They just happened. So ask yourself this question. Is my understanding of the future Christ-focused, or is it world-focused or humanist-focused? Now, if it's Christ-focused, what are the types of things you're thinking about? Yeah, so the fact that whatever your medical issues might be, that you're in God's hands and you trust Him to heal you, right? Okay, what else? What are some of the other aspects? Yes, Alexa.
There's less fear involved because relationship with Jesus doesn't change regardless of
Exactly, right? All these circumstances you have no control over at all. But what God gives us is a certain level of certainty about that relationship we have with Him. That's the continuity. That's the anchor in our life. That's what gives us the stability. So if the ship's in trouble at sea, and it looks like it's going to go up in a reef, right? One of the things they'll do is they'll throw the anchor up. And they hope it catches. And even though the ship's getting battered around and smashed about by the waves, at least it's not getting thrown up on the rocks to get destroyed. And anchoring our future hope on Christ is kind of like that sea anchor that people throw out in a storm. It provides stability and keeps us in place. So having a Christ-centered perspective of the future rather than worrying about all the other stuff we have no control over is a very important piece. And so I ask you, in your own life, maybe the thing you're worried about is relationship. Maybe it's finance. Maybe it's a job. Maybe it's a workplace issue. Whatever it is, try and change your focus to a Christ-centered focus. And just give all that to God, let Him worry about how it's all going to get worked out. So, don't get trapped into chasing the future. I know people who do that. It's great to be thinking ahead, all right? Like if you're in a car and you're not thinking ahead, you're going to be dead. Okay, that's just as simple as it is, right? You've got to be looking ahead and trying to anticipate what's going to happen. But there's a difference between that and chasing the future. And I know people, their whole raison d'etre, their whole purpose in life is focused on some intangible thing, maybe they think it's tangible, that may never ever happen. You know, they chase it their whole lives. And it becomes an obsession. So don't get trapped into chasing the future. Enjoy the present, because oftentimes it involves coffee. No, that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. You have no control over the future. Anchor your life in the future promises of God. And here's some of the things He gives us. So first thing, inner peace in this life. You know, you can be going through the worst storms in life, but if you're anchored in Christ, because you have that future hope that Bill talked about earlier, you have no need to be stressed or upset. It's in God's hands. You get eternal life. So the promise of eternal life. The minute you make a commitment to Christ, you're on your first day of your eternal life. Pretty cool. You've already started. And then finally to be reunited or reconciled to God. And that was what Jesus talked about at the Last Supper when He said that He would share that wine with us in heaven. Those are some things I'd encourage you to think about this week in your own devotional life, or as you consider sort of your perspective on Christianity. Take a look at these ideas. So to summarize it, what I wanted to do today was give you a look, some insight into how we should view the future from the perspective of the Christian faith. I wanted to look at some of the pluses and minuses as well of living in the future. And one of the main points is the future isn't good or bad; it just is what it is. What we need to do, though, is anchor our hope and our future in Christ. Need a Christ-centered future, not be worried about all other stuff that we don't have any control over, or have very little control over. So, if you're not a follower of Christ, I'd encourage you to give your future to His Son, Jesus Christ, because He secured it for you through His death on the cross. That's what His promise was to us when He died for our sins, was that through Him we could have a future. And if you're not sure how to do that, or you don't know how to become a follower of Christ, I'd encourage you to talk to myself or my wife. You can talk to Ideen, you can talk to Chris and Gerald and Peter. These are all people who are already in a relationship with God, and we can kind of walk you through how you might do that, so that you can have that future that Christ secured for us on the cross. Now, next week, I'm not here. I'm away. I'm in Montebello. I get a week off on Joel Williams will be here. So Joel is the guy who does the Saturday night service here at Salt Lake Company. He's been here and spoken before. People love him. We'll get them back. So he's going to cover off for me this Sunday coming up. And then in 2 weeks, we'll do the last part of the Where We Live series. And what I'm going to do is put past, present, and future together from both the humanist and from a sort of spiritual perspective, and just try and wrap it all up. So that's what that's going to look like in 2 weeks. We all good? Okay, that's all right. As long as you come, you're good. And if you miss it, Ideen's got it on YouTube, so now we can see it there live, right? By the way, if you missed any parts, you want to see them, they're all on YouTube, so, right? If you want more background, okay? So just keep coming. You'll never forget, right? You don't have to worry about it. Just keep coming. It's good. Right, so that's what we'll do in 2 weeks. Next week is Joel. And, of course, next week we have a lot of folks coming in for Youth Builders. One final point. Carol Ann, who runs our coffee bar, is doing a super job. She's a bit challenged, though, in that she doesn't have enough volunteers. Sometimes when people volunteer, they sign up for weeks and don't show up. Or they show up late. So I'm going to tell you a little story. It's a great story. We used to go to Bethel Church way back in the 90s. We had this lady named Phyllis Terrell. She is the toughest, spunkiest old lady I've ever met in my life. And she ran the kids program. And the way she did it was, she ran it, and parents were helpers for the young ones, right? That's how she did it. She was there every week, but she needed helpers. Well, some parents signed up, then they didn't show up, then not enough signed up. They weren't being very responsible. So one day, we go into church, and the service starts with an address from Phyllis. And it went like this. Ladies and gentlemen, I run the kids program. If I don't get some helpers, they're sitting in here with you next week. Thank you. And walked off the stage. Okay? We never had any problems after that, oddly enough. We're kind of in that situation with Coffee Bar now. I would love to have a cappuccino every single morning, and I can. It's great. But we need trained staff who show up when they're on schedule, and are there on time. Now, we changed one thing about Coffee Bar. If you're the head barista, you don't have to be here till 9:15. It used to be 9 o'clock. We figured it out. You don't need to be here that early. So you'll be here 9:15. If you're a helper, you can show up at 9:30. You don't have to be here at 9:15. Most people are here by 9:30 anyways. And then we'll make sure that we produce the good quality coffee we're all used to here at Cafe. Otherwise, you'll be drinking muddy brown water. That's the threat. Now, Carol Ann would like to talk to all Coffee Bar staff or anyone who is interested in getting involved. We would love for you to do that. We will train you. It's a great life skill to have. If you're trapped in a desert island, you have no food or water, at least you'll be able to make an espresso. I mean, it doesn't get any better. So if you could see Carol Ann, you just want to go over by the front of the Coffee Bar, Carol Ann? Is that what you want to need? So anyone on Coffee Bar who's interested, please see Carol Ann. We'll start soup in, say, 5 minutes.
Can I just make a few soup,
Yeah, go ahead, dear.
announcements? Okay, so just for health and safety reasons, I'm just going to remind everybody, we're actually not able to serve ourselves. There's a server. You'll notice that I'm there every week. I'm actually taking this week off, and I'm wondering if today would there be 2 volunteers that would mind putting their hands up to serve? 1. Do we have a second volunteer today?
I would love to help.
Okay, so 2 volunteers. So after the service, I'll tell you what you need to do to serve up, because I'm just going to take today off. But we always need someone behind to serve. So for whatever reason, there's no one there. Maybe come and get me, because we're not allowed to have a lot of people, handling handles and touching things. The second thing, just a reminder, and I'm more firm than my husband, but if you intend on showing up Tuesday night to our potluck, if you could bring something, it's really important. Don't just bring yourself. At Dollarama, they actually have packages of buns. At Dollarama, they have jars of pickles. So if you can afford $1 and you bring that thing, you can come. I don't want people showing up with nothing in hand. We're all going to contribute together and have a meal as a community. So that's the food for Tuesday night.
5:30 we'll start serving. You want to get here a little earlier?
Order after, especially if you need to heat something up. So I'm a little harder than my husband. Is this the soup thing?
So this Tuesday night is not the small group Tuesday night. This Tuesday night is the whole church, hopefully, anybody who wants to come, to welcome the Youth Builders team to Kingston. Okay, so I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear at the beginning. I know we have a Tuesday night group that meets every other week. That's not what this is. This Tuesday night, 19th of April, is us just making these 6 young people who've given their life to serving God feel welcome and get to know them and hang out with them and just, see the body of Christ. So if you want to come, we'd love to have you.
And actually, this is the announcement from Chris. I'm just doing this for Chris. Chris organizes soup, so we have these lovely soups every week. It looks like we need a soup next week and actually a number of following weeks.
You can help.
I'll just leave this sitting here, and maybe, hon, if you don't mind grabbing a pen.
We have a solution, which is we can put more water in the soup. That's the other option.
So 3 food related things. Jane.
The potluck on Tuesday, what time does that start?
5:30.
It's the same as
Yes, that is, it is, same time. Okay, good. All right, I'm going to say a quick blessing. We'll let Carol Ann and her crew do their meeting. We'll give you about 5 minutes. Is that enough time? And then we'll serve the food. Yeah. Lord, we thank you for our time together this morning. We're especially grateful to have Gerald here. We pray for his this stomach pain he's had, Lord, you heal that up. Thank you for the many faces that are here and visitors especially. We love having visitors here at Cafe. We ask you to bless this food to our bodies, and I just pray a special blessing on each person this week. Let us go out knowing that you're a God of the future. In your name, amen.
Amen. So grab the 2 soup people, and then soup can start.
Thank you all.